The province of Ontario has decided to move March break to April as a way of limiting community transmission of COVID-19. Education Minister Stephen Lecce says the decision was based on the recommendation of public health officials, including local medical officers of health.
At this time, it is critical that we continue to prioritize the health and safety of students, staff, and their families so that we can continue with the safe return to in-person learning. Postponing March break, not canceling it, is an important way that schools can help to limit community transmission. We recognize that congregation is a key driver of the spread of COVID-19, something we realized over the winter break, and we will not take that risk again with your child, with our staff, with Ontario families.
The break will now take place during the week of April 12, just 4 days after Easter Monday. That's a concern for parents and educators who say it will instead promote further travel and gatherings, something the province is trying to avoid.
It is of the utmost importance that we do not travel at this time, especially as we lead into the month of March. This postponement also limits any further disruption to students as they could return to in-person learning during a time that has been challenging. As Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health has said, our schools have remained safe for kids, and this move is intended to keep them that way.
All schools in Ontario are about to reopen next week as the rate of new COVID-19 infections continues to decrease. Students in Ottawa were sent back to class 2 weeks ago, a decision which so far has caused no major outbreaks. Students first resumed online learning after the Christmas break, which came with an uptick in new daily cases. Since then, enhanced safety measures have been implemented in schools, including making masks mandatory for all students in grade 1 and up, and prohibiting gatherings of any kind before and after class. Lecce says given what happened over the Christmas break, they want to avoid the same from happening again.
Obviously, we're governed by advice from the medical community to limit the potential for transmission and really limit or try to prevent a scenario we saw over the holidays where there just was a massive spike of transmission and positivity of our kids, of our youngest learners.
The new concern is also with the 3 COVID-19 variants being confirmed in Ontario. The strains are expected to be more contagious, with roughly 5 to 10% of new cases in the province being reported as the UK variant, which is expected to dominate the United States by March. Some experts say the risk of a third wave in Ontario is inevitable, falling around the same time students are supposed to go on spring break. Dr. Williams, Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, says their goal is to have all students back in the classroom to keep everyone safe, adding the new variants are a concern.
Because the new thing that's added to us since the end of the year and now in January is the variants of concern, and we'll show you why that timing is impeccably important when we're looking at March break. Of course, when we are doing some other initiatives, as the Minister and the Premier have announced, we'll be looking at the framework and how that's going to affect. But that doesn't mean everything's open, everybody does what they want to do.
Now, the spring break changes do not apply to private schools. However, the Ontario government is also encouraging them to move their breaks to April as a safety precaution. Now, I have spoken with a number of private schools here in the Ottawa region, and many of them tell me they have no intentions of moving their break away from March because they just don't feel it's necessary. Charlie C92IN News, Ottawa.